Today we're going to be learning about solving a quartic equation, and a quartic equation means my largest exponent is a 4. So this is what a standard quartic would look like. The method we're going to look at is factoring. And what I first want to look at is here is the x to the 4th. This is my largest exponent. I know I can factor because my middle term, this says x squared. This 2 is half of that 4, so I know I can break it up into 2 parentheses to factor. So let's look at what that factoring would look like. I have a quartic here, but notice how it's not in standard form. This 35 needs to go to the other side. So let's do that first. That's going to give me x to the 4th plus 12x squared plus 35 equals 0. So now we have our quartic in standard form, and this is going to be factored the same way as we would have factored a quadratic. I'm going to draw 2 parentheses, set it equal to 0. I'm going to split up this x to the 4th evenly into both parentheses, so x squared and x squared. I'm then going to look for the factors of 35 that are going to add or subtract to give me 12, and I know that should be 7 and 5, and no, your order doesn't matter, and they're both going to be added. So now I have it factored. The next step to any factoring would be to set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So x squared plus 7 equals 0, x squared plus 5 equals 0. We're going to subtract 7 off of both sides. X squared equals negative 7. We're going to take the square root of both sides. Notice how 7 is negative, so my x is going to equal plus or minus I because of that negative square root of 7. We're going to do the same thing to the negative 5, so we're going to positive 5. We're going to subtract off 5 off of both sides. That's going to give me x squared equals negative 5. Take the square root of both sides, and again, because it's negative, x is going to equal plus or minus I square root of 5. And those are my 2 answers. So again, we're just factoring the way we normally would. We just have one more step when we get to the bottom by taking the square root. So please try this one on your own and answer the problem to the side. All right, so for this one, again, the 6 needs to be moved in. We're going to add 6 to both sides. It's going to give me m to the 4th plus 5m squared plus 6 equals 0. Look it over. M to the 4th, m squared, so I'm set up correctly. 2 parentheses equals 0. Break up my m to the 4th with m squared and m squared. The factors of 6 that'll add or subtract to give me 5 are going to be 3 and 2. And again, we're going to add both. Then we set each factor equal to 0. We're going to subtract 3 off of both sides here. Take the square root of both sides. And again, it's negative, so I need my I, and plus or minus has to be there because I took a square root. We're going to subtract 2 off of both sides. Whoops, oh well. Take the square root of both sides. That's going to tell me m equals plus or minus I square root of 2. So now we have one where the leading coefficient is not 1, which is the same as when we were doing factoring when our leading coefficient was not 1. So first look, everybody's in order. It's set equal to 0, so I'm set up to factor. We're going to make parentheses, and this is going to be 3x squared and 1x squared because that's the only way we can split up 3. The 5 has to be placed appropriately. Remember, I want these 2 multiplied together and these 2 multiplied together to give me my middle term that combined is going to give me that. Okay, those two numbers combined give me that. Let's put a 5 out here and a 1 here. If I follow the purple line, that's going to give me 15x squared. If I follow the green line, that's going to give me 1x squared. If I add them, that's 16x squared. That's not my answer. If I subtract them, that's 14x squared. That's not my answer. So this is not the order I want to put them in. We're going to take these out. Okay. So let's put the 5 here and the 1 over here. Following the green, that's going to give me 5x squared. Following the purple, right? That's going to give me 3x squared. If I add them, I do get 8. So that's how I want this put together. And if I'm adding, they both have to be positive. Let me get rid of my stuff here. Okay. Now we're going to set each one equal to 0, so 3x squared plus 5 equals 0, and x squared plus 1 equals 0. We're going to subtract 5 off of both sides. 3x squared equals negative 5. Divide by 3. X squared is going to equal negative 5/3. And then when I take the square root of both sides, I'm going to get x is equal to plus or minus I, because it's negative, square root of 5/3. We do the other side, we're going to subtract 1 off of both sides. X squared equals negative 1. Take the square root, and x is going to equal plus or minus I. I don't have to write anything else because square root of 1 is 1, but the square root of negative 1 is going to be I. I need you to try this one, please. All right, so again, I looked at this one. Everybody's in the same order. I'm going to try to factor it. Looking at this, the only way to do 7 is 7a squared and a squared. And looking at that middle term, I know I want 43. So I have a sneaking suspicious I need to do 7 times 6. This will give me 42. That gives me 1. That'll give me my 43. And we're going to add. And again, set them equal to 0. And then we're going to solve. So subtract 1. 7a squared equals negative 1. Divide by 7. A squared is going to equal negative 1/7. We're going to take the square root of both sides. So a is going to equal plus or minus I because it's negative. Square root of 1/7. You can leave it as that. Subtract 6 off both sides here. A squared equals negative 6. We're going to take the square root of both sides. A equals plus or minus I square roots of 6. Hopefully that helps with everything. Please go to the Google Doc I have posted and complete the work on there. Post your homework to the Google Classroom. Thank you.